Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to CIO Gurukul panel discussion on Unlock the Power of Business Potential with SD-WAN. My name is Sachin Mashirkar, Executive Director, B2B Tech, your moderator for this session. I'll briefly introduce the topic, followed by an introduction to our eminent panelists before we get into a deep discussion. So, as you know, the shift to hybrid workplace model has made organizations rethink their infrastructure, be it physical or IT. And in this distributed workplace model, organizations need to end visibility of their entire network. Companies are also accelerating their digital transformation efforts and need faster application performance. Many businesses in the expansion mode are looking to set up smaller branch offices. And in all these scenarios, business feel hampered by legacy MPLS. Many of you have been using it now in last few decades. So for any business today, it is critical to know how well your services are performing. But if you are using MPLS, it is impossible to get in such a deep insight. Not only that, MPLS architectures are not designed to deliver deep, actionable insight, and this results in a crucial knowledge gap that leaves IT teams struggling to optimize their environments. Ask any IT team dependent on MPLS architecture, what is their major source of irritation? They would say the same. The answer most likely would be setting up new locations, as there are long lead times that underpin traditional MPLS services and make it a frustrating exercise. So how can enterprises create a more agile and resilient network when the need is to enhance application performances, reduce time lag in setting up new sites, or avoid network downtime and bottlenecks? The short answer is software-defined network, the SD-WAN. Yes. In today's panel discussion, let us hear our eminent panel members discuss their experiences with MPLS and how migrating to an SD-WAN solution helped them troubleshoot all these issues. Let us also hear them on the benefits of SD-WAN architectures in the current times. So with that, let me give a quick introduction to our eminent panelists. So we have with us Mr. Rajiv Mittal, Chief Information Officer of Endurance Technologies, Mr. Vinod Sivaramakrishnan, Chief Information Officer, Indus Towers, Mr. Maitri Modha, Head ICT Technology with CNH Industrial India, Mr. Jay Daga, Vice President IT, Sony Pictures, Mr. Atul Govil, Chief Transformation Officer with India Glycols, and from our partner side, we have Mr. Surya Narayan CS. He's a country category manager with HP Aruba India. So with that, before we delve into a sort of panel and take piece of advice from our eminent panelists, I would like to invite Surya to do a bit of a context setting here, as how the overall industry landscape looking, why, on a SD-WAN adoption, some of the use cases, what he has been noticing in his conversation with various CIOs and where they've actually implemented, so that it will set a tone for us to deliberate the, some of the benefits of SD-WAN for the enterprises who are listening to us this conversation. Yeah, Surya, over to you.
Sachin, thanks CIO leaders and eminent panelists and those who are listening to this conversation. I would like to use a few slides in explaining some of the points of discussion. WAN is not new to us. A wide area network has been always closer to our heart. That is the one which is enabling us to communicate to each other today. Not just communication, we are able to see each other today. So the way WAN transformation happened from the days of dial-ups to what today is revolutionary. Wide area network was always dependent on key aspects of connectivity, as Sachin was rightly saying, aspects of quality of service, then aspects of the communication between two endpoints. Now, as we deep dive into WAN, MPLS is something which Sachin spoke about. Before that, you remember the days of VSATs, then RJ32 connectivities, then we remember the days of course, even if we go prior dial-ups, then modems and many other things. So software-defined terminology was defined from the LAN networks to wireless LAN networks, now moving towards WAN. Now, always from a product development, being part of product team, I always equate WAN to highways. Okay, so the way highway is being created, connecting two cities. Okay, so you can either create 10-lane highway, 20-lane highway, or you create, let's say, air transport, or build flyovers or underpasses. That's how the innovation happening around connecting two cities. Same happens with the WAN. WAN, when I say what is the packet which is going, is either the application traffic or the so-called VIPs. Where how do I prioritize people on my WAN network? So this is where the context of WAN came into picture, where people talked about SD-WAN. Now, SD-WAN is predominantly defined as software-defined wide area network. We at Aruba acquired a company called Silver Peak, who redefined SD as self-delivery. So that is the key aspect. If you see my first slide, self-driving is basically we don't want me to write codes and traffic patterns, how to deliver a packet from one place to other place. Okay, so it should have that machine learning algorithms. It should understand what packets to be prioritized. It should have the deep knowledge, what link to be prioritized, and etc. Now, the birth of MPLS came into picture for a simple reason. One is today, as eminent leaders in your organization, the first thing you ask is 99.999, probably that is the SLA. Okay, so that is where the MPLS came into picture. That is where the discussion around security came into picture. If you go to any banks and ask, can I move your architecture to broadband? First thing they say that no, may not be, because the security parameters might have changed. The big difference which has happened today is look at the way applications reside. Do your application reside in your data center, or it is moved out of data center? Office 365 was a revolution. When Exchange can move to cloud, that means that your end users, your employees, are already moving out of your data center, accessing applications beyond your data center. So this became the next point of management part. How do I manage these movements which is happening, not just on the wired and wireless side, but around the WAN side? And the focus around WAN has come in this today's world is because if you go 2 decades back, wireless was in the same era. It started with 11 Mbps, 802.11 A, B, G. Today, wireless has moved to 802.11 AX or Wi-Fi 6E, even in opening up 6 gigahertz spectrum. So that means that the packet leaving from my device, I'm getting priority and the big throughput on the wireless network. WAN network, LAN networks move towards software-defined architecture, prioritizing your application users on the LAN. So the bottleneck became the WAN, and WAN are still not in Gbps. They are in Mbps. Thank God we moved from Kbps to Mbps. So as you are in an Mbps speed with huge data packets flowing in, number of users or number of devices increasing in, so that's bound to happen. That focus around WAN comes into picture. Now, software-defined or self-driving WAN is the next big thing to happen. And today industry is talking about SD-WAN. So from a SD-WAN perspective, definitely there are no single link which comes to an endpoint. It's always active and passive link, which we used to always remember. One 100 Mbps link, other one a passive 50 Mbps link. Then we used to have redundancy between two service providers because we expect some guy cutting the road and cutting your cables to that particular location. So we always used to invest on two links, but they were never active and active. So the revolution around SD-WAN will come as active WAN links, giving that effective cumulative throughput. Then we spoke about application aware. What is that application aware? Today, look at the diversity of applications. You have applications like Zoom, WebEx, and Microsoft Teams happening. These are very resilient applications, meaning that you cannot have latency at all here. If I have a latency in my network, probably will not hear me. That's voice sensitive. So the reason why the application-aware routing is critical is, if you remember our traditional routing protocols, the WAN is always associated with the router. Okay, in router, the specifications you used to ask us quality of service, BGP. So in quality of service, again, it used to be very static. We used to put the voice as priority 1, video as priority 2, data as priority 3. The Zoom traffic which we are talking about is data, and you never used to get priority. And I remember the days of Microsoft launching a Skype, and Skype were never used to work effectively. And we used to, unfortunately, blame Mr. Bill Gates for that. And it was never Bill Gates' problem. It was a problem with either your LAN network or a wireless network or a WAN network, which never understood it's a Skype traffic which is hitting your network, and it needs a priority because it was seen as a data traffic. And this is exactly how the revolution happened around WAN. Application-aware routing is very critical. Now, I look at one criticalness of these sensitive applications. Look at the high-priority applications, be it ERP or be it your Exchange and many other applications. So this is where it's very critical to have those application-aware routing protocols. Then when I say about performance-based routing, okay. Now, when I say performance-based routing, you remember still it exists, SCCM, that's predominantly the System Center Configuration Manager of Microsoft. Okay, I have seen in one of my customer conversation with a proof of concept, it taking around 6.5 hours to do the patch management and upgrade and other things. By him adapting around SD-WAN, especially with Silver Peak, which has been acquired by Aruba, he was able to do in the very first instance less than in few minutes. And with repetitive upgrades and updates, we were able to bring it down to less than 3 minutes. That means that at 6.5 hours to 3 minutes, it was a jaw-dropping experience which customer used to have. And that's where the SD-WAN or self-driving WAN plays an important role. Then I spoke about applications moving towards multi-cloud environment, on-prem and cloud. Okay, so you will see those movements irrespective. As Exchange of Office 365 moving to cloud, that gives an example how the future applications will move. Why this is critical is, look at the security parameters you would have aligned with your network. We used to invest on heavy on-prem perimeter firewalls. Now the application moves out of that firewall and moves to a cloud environment or a multi-cloud environment. That's where people started talking about new terminology which was coined by Gartner called SASE. Okay, so predominantly secure access service edge, meaning that your application resides in cloud. Probably I'll align with a cloud firewall and gives you that connectivity. So, WAN moving towards not just a software-defined, self-driving WAN and security following it is the punchline which I feel SD-WAN should be defined on. So this is where our company punchline was: people move, networks must follow. So people move, networks must follow, security must follow. This is where today's world is, because today you are working from anywhere, connecting from any device, and all the mediums of LAN, wireless, and WAN has to work in conjunction. So this is where the modern cloud comes into picture, modern WAN comes into picture, and the digital transformation or the smart transformation can happen with the adoption of all the three aspects of self-driving WAN. So with that, just to give a brief, what Silver Peak does in the journey of your WAN, or Aruba does in the journey of WAN, is predominantly when you take the WAN transformation, the first step is predominantly how you select a path, internet breakout, split tunnel. Typically, you make come and ask, I want to split my tunnel from my office. Cloud, I need to split it. On-prem, I need to split and move forward. And single management tool. If you take this first step, there will be some 60, 70 players who can do this job. Okay. Then came the basic SD-WAN. This is where people started orchestrating, making their existing router as a SD-WAN router, or making a existing firewall as a SD-WAN gateway or a device. Okay, so these are all hybrid model where they had a deep packet inspection to an extent, bringing in visibility or fixed app definitions and defining ACLs. Then moving towards a bit of voice and video over broadband with SLAs. On a broadband with SLA, broadband first of all never had a SLA. Now they started defining with SLA. Now what we did is we took next two jump. Next two jump was around not only integrated and automated ecosystem. We talked about continuous and self-learning. This is where we introduced machine learning. We also talked about integrating advanced security. When I say advanced security, we went into aspect of integrating with cloud firewalls like Zscalers, Netskope, and others. Okay. Then is where we brought in the intelligence of artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithm, where the routes, WAN routes also is automated. So this is where you can bring in the true aspect of hybrid WAN, meaning you can stay with your MPLS, you can move to broadband, you can move to any connectivity. We assure you that performance and benefits what we can talk about. So the year of WAN I talk about, there are a huge journey which you all would have experienced. This is technology adoption, which is I can say fast paced in last 1 year. The WAN is something which we are seeing as a sea change which is happening upon us. And basic SD-WAN, changing your router to a SD-WAN router or a firewall to a SD-WAN firewall will not work. So this is where the innovation started from two aspects of Silverpeak. One is WAN transformation, making MPLS and traditional app work better. But next big thing is what we talk about always, WAN transformation, leveraging broadband and making cloud app work better. So this transformation is something which most of the Indian customers have seen going through it. And just to assure that we are ready for it, and we'll go into that kind of transformation. So basically, this is what I was talking about. You have dedicated data centers. Today, data centers are no more, I can say, dedicated in one place. I've seen journeys where DCDR moving towards 2 locations and public hosting. Then I've seen people moving from primary MPLS or two MPLS connection to one MPLS and one broadband, which has already happened in West. In India, is still that transformation is yet to happen. And from a public perspective, public cloud or shared broadband or low cost, no control, the broadband is not controllable or it's not predictable also like MPLS. So this is where we call it as a multiplier effect, which is the key for you to transform towards SD-WAN. Now, I don't want to dwell too much into each pointers, but this gives a message around your multiplier effect, which is very much critical for your journey around the WAN, be it on the security or SLA trade-off or transport cost, run on any transport or cost of the links which you are getting into it. At the same time, I've seen customers investing on these ecosystems. Office 365 is a common, Zscaler from a cloud security is common, which I've seen. Adapting to public cloud, I've seen this people moving DR to one of their public clouds or some of the applications hosted in one of the public clouds. So if you are investing in your ecosystem, it's time for you to invest on Silverpeak because the first integration of Office 365 was on Silverpeak. I can give a better, greater experience of Office 365 using our self-driving WAN networks. So with that, of course, as being a OEM, obviously, I'll say that my solution is the best. I also would like to say that I am always very practical in my approach, saying that seeing is believing. Okay, so whatever I said, I would like to show. I can say that I'll improve your application performance by 50 times, or I can improve any application speed, latency, jitters, all this can be improved. But as I said, it's very important to inform seeing is believing. So with that, I end my session and open to you, Sachin, for the panel discussion.
Thanks, Surya. Thanks for sharing that perspective, the transformation journey from a solution side, what you've seen. But as you know, I think we do have our four eminent panelists which are there right now. I think each of them are there in that profession for last, I think, close to 3 decades or maybe more, some of them. So let's hear, I think, I would like to start conversation on a lighter note. I mean, I think let's hear their story, what kind of transformation they have seen of network from the time they started their career and what they see and what their possible expectations from a modern network are. Rajivji, I would like to start with you. You can be a bit nostalgic, so please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. So I would say this is a paradigm shift, and paradigm shift in terms of the technological advancement, in terms of the experience.
Why I'm asking you to start your story from the beginning, because we have our listeners who are possibly from your era, and a lot of them are actually the next generation CIOs. So I want them to relate the story of yours when you started your career and how you've seen the network transforming from that time.
So when I started at that time, practically there was no LAN or there was no WAN. WAN was completely out of question. Even LAN was also an issue. Maybe those people who are from that time must be knowing that if we were connecting a network, there was a concept called BNC network, right? So it was a sequential thing and connecting one cable to other and joining the things. That's how we were connecting computers, one computer to other computer, and no Windows kind of environment, no GUI-based operating system. It was purely DOS, and the most popular was Novel NetWare. From the PC point of view, from computer point of view, and of course there was mainframes, which were very high-end, and so computing and working on computing was basically, it is like you are worshipping and doing some kind of worship for God, a kind of thing. So very, very less applicable, less available, very low memory. I remember when I first PC when I encountered after mainframe, it was 8086 and a few KB of memory. And so from that time to this time, it's a sea change, I would say. So today, even pen drive is also coming with 256 GB kind of thing. So a very tiny device, very tiny chip can consume tremendous amount of data, can store tremendous amount of data. And entire thing is on the lightning speed. Even like we are doing this video conferencing and webcasting. 5 years ago, it was not possible. It was just, of course, video conferencing tools were quite popular. For example, WebEx and various other things were there quite early, but nobody was having good experience. The reason was the connectivity, network. So network is big and very important thing, and I would say it's a backbone for running anything. So IT transformation is majorly residing on network layer, because if things are not connected with each other, it is very difficult. Today, we all are running very high-end computing in our palm, in the form of mobile phone, which was not there. So it's a big transformation and big change. And I'm sure going forward, the changes would be much rapid, because people expectations are different, user behavior are different, technological advancement is different, research and development is at very different space. And from the enabler point of view, from the developer point of view, from the consumer point of view, everybody are aligned towards digital and data. So when the whole world is towards that, obviously nobody can stop any advanced and very rapid development in this area. That's what we are seeing. And today the entire world is like one platform. So not like earlier when some technology was introduced in US, it was taking a decade to come to India. Today, when technology is introduced, in the next second, or next moment, it is available across the globe. Of course, I am talking about developing and developed countries. Still, there are many countries who are behind in infrastructure setup. They need to come up. Going forward, this will also happen the way the advancement is taking place. And now people are talking about satellite internet. So just not the wired one or wireless one. And I mean, the path is completely changing by way of satellite internet. So I would say this is a major transformation and which will go on further.
Thank you, sir. Really enjoyed this. Some bit of memories just flashed from 97, possibly little later generation of yours, but I could relate what you're saying. So, Maitriji, would you like to go next? I think you're on
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Am I audible all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So very rightly said, Rajivji. It was, I was, reviewing my flashback when you were talking about how the networks and computers were. So it was really like worshipping, getting into a temple, taking off your shoes, getting into a computer room, and you would not be allowed to touch it. So it was always Doordarshan. Look from far, don't touch it. Only the experts were allowed to touch it. So that starting from that era to I remember my school days when we first had the first computer, and it was like a lot of advertisement. This school has this, and the guys who were into the computer classes were like, oh, they are into something different era altogether. I mean, the most privileged ones were the ones who were going there. From there to the current day scenario where we have the handhelds and the wearables and the sensor based. I mean, it's a leapfrog jump. I would say light years of travel from in terms of technology from where it was before to where it is now. It also brings in a lot of challenges in terms of security and in terms of reliability and all that. So even the networks, if I go back, the networks, as Rajesh was mentioning, BNC, bolt nut connector. We used to have specialists coming in and working on those networks. I myself had hands-on done it. So yeah, it was the era, and what we now have is complete wireless. Just switch and on the go, you have everything ready. And now when we have 100 Mbps network at home, we are still complaining it is slow. So yeah, it is really very change in the overall experience. So is the user expectation and the enterprise leadership expectation as well. Like if it is not working, it's a problem. It has to be like a light switch. It is expected to be available, and that's what makes it very challenging for all the IT professionals who are managing this, and the OEMs who are supporting the IT professionals in achieving their KPIs.
I can relate that, Maitriji. I think the era which was a digital aspiration to now digital at your assistant, what we are living in. So, Vinodji, would like to see how many phases of network refresh you have witnessed.
So I'm no stranger to some of the things that I think Mittalji has been talking about. We've daisy changed our own number of pieces in our time. But I think, the larger part I want to just mention is really that, despite all the technological advances, and with apologies to Surya and, the OEM community in this area, one thing I've never been able to get out of is when people say ki slow chal raha. For various reasons, we've never managed to solve the problem of slow. I think we get better, but we redefine slow on a running basis. And I think if a practicing CIO, you ask what is the thing that you've heard most from users over, I've been one for 27 years. if you take this statement that mostly comes out is, yeah, बाकी सब ठीक है, slow चल रहा है. And I don't think, I think 10 years from now also users will be saying, यार बाकी सब ठीक है, slow चल रहा है. But the point I wanted to bring by that is, look, what's happened is that our advances in technology have been matched by our advances in demand and the necessity to keep up with that. And I think, Surya is a couple of years late in saying that this is a coming trend. I mean, it's been around for long enough. God knows that no self-respecting CIO today will say, Acha, SD-WAN is not an option. The idea of having a hybrid network with SD-WAN is pretty much standard. I would say you open any instruction manual and that is where it is. I mean, the basic ability of the components. But what Surya is absolutely right is that now you are graduating to those top 2 tiers. The more areas of application or performance sensitive or contextual, improvements in the technology to understand the phenomenon of slow. The tighter integration between your application stacks and the network protocols to say, here first, where in this complex chain of packets is the problem that is happening? And to a great extent, I think the challenge in front of the OEMs is really that solve those mysteries. These mysteries we are aware of. I mean, buying an ILL and the comparative economics of ILL versus MPLS, the need to switch your heavy video applications to solid backbones and your keep your last mile easy. I think as somebody in telecom infrastructure, I understand that piece is really the easiest piece. While it is still probably the biggest problem by volume, it is still the easiest piece to resolve. The most challenging piece comes the minute you start saying application aware networking. I'll open this pipe because this guy is a VIP. He'll get, a class of service or quality of service that is superior to that guy. When you start getting into these intricacies, these finer details, that is when you separate the men from the boys in this industry. Because pretty much today, entry-level SD-WAN is par for the course. I don't know that you can go out and buy a router that is not compatible today. I mean, I haven't bought one in a while, but I don't know that you can buy one today. The only point I'll say is that the history only tells us that the demand always catches up and exceeds. I think the frontier that all of us are chasing in networking is user experience, our ability to put a finger on user experience. And there I will say that still, when I look at the OEM landscape, we're all just growing up. We're all just teenagers in that place. And, my recommendation, request, advice, entreaty would be that, we need a lot of focus on this place because the foundations are all made. Now it is that last mile that we have to, and as everybody knows in networking, last mile is everything. So it is that last mile that I would say needs work. But the journey itself is not as fascinating as the potential. If you really look at a point where you say that now I understand my user's experience, the way I understand, packet routing between an internet port and MPLS port, that is the day I want to see, and that is the day I want to see as a CIO before, I have to hang up my shoes and go into consulting or something. Thank you.
Sachin, you are on mute.
Thank you, Vinodji. Thanks for articulating the entire journey. Now, the next story, I think we have a bit unique, and I want to invite Atulji for that because he's someone who's with a company from, I think, beginning of his career. Atulji, I think I can see India Glycols, and I think close to 24 years, his span of working there. I think he would have also seen the complete transition of the company from, I think, 97, 99 types, I think.
Yeah.
So I think would love to hear from you how the whole network has refreshed and which phases of intervals you have gone through this refresh.
I think I'll because in the interest of the participants, I'll start with what we are doing now. Okay. And then we'll go back in time. But I think as a manufacturing setup, okay, and we're primarily into manufacturing of chemicals, specialty chemicals, and liquor, industrial gases, and sanitizers, and many other products. And what we have seen is that in the last 4-5 years at least, the focus is to connect the dots, or rather connect the entire value stream, and which is only and solely possible if you have a very, very robust network. Okay, because if you talk about the IoT sensors which generate data at phenomenal rates, okay, far beyond these SAPs or the Oracles of the world to with their transactions. So I think the entire network fabric has in a way catapulted, or rather transformed in entirety, right from the WAN to the LAN, and of course the wireless aspects. I can tell you it's not just about how we have seen the change in the last 2-3 decades, but more importantly, there has been in the last 18 months itself, I'll tell you, there has been a significant change the way network data or network itself, the whole backhaul, how is it getting consumed? How is the whole bandwidth getting consumed? That itself has gone into a fundamental shift. So earlier, like our fellow team member was mentioning, the focus was on transactional data, and we used to give less priority on voice, video. But now it's turned. The whole thing is turned over, because right from the AGMs, the board meetings, everything is happening electronically, and the expectation is that it has to be like we call it telepresence. So almost like virtually you are literally present without any lag. So I'm seeing in the last 18 months itself, we have gone into multiple revamps. Wow. Not just in one area, but yes, first we did a wireless revamp, then we did the whole wired setup revamp, not just in our corporate or head office, but also across our manufacturing sites. And of course, if we go back in time, I very well recall those days we used to have those mainframes and those puja rooms, so to say, okay, and then we actually evolved from the era wherein most individuals would be using a typewriter, and very few individuals would have a computer, so to say, and then you had these WordStar and other applications, word processing applications, and the role of the tech head or the technology head was more like an MIS fellow, okay, who had to do very basic networking, very, very basic networking, and take care of the MIS requirements, and maybe some of these units, standalone PCs, so the whole, if you see from a role of a CIO also, today, like earlier, the role was more like a developer or a solution implementer, okay, IT infra manager kind of thing. Today, you are expected to be in complete alignment of the business needs. So more than 60 to 70% of your effort, the role of a CIO, is into aligning to what exactly, how to facilitate business, how to make sure that you kind of intertwine your offerings with the business, wherein it could be a connected product, or it could be around connected logistics, smart warehousing system, everything. So it's not just about you're operating in the basement, like in the yesteryears. You had this data center in the basement or somewhere, nobody in the world knew where is it. And now with the cloud offerings, the whole there's a paradigm shift as we speak. So I think these are interesting times, especially for those who are able to let go of the history and be able to evolve and speak the language which is expected in current times.
Yeah. No, with this reasoning of network refresh, I think you really narrated the story of the CIO from that time, possibly the MIS support managers, a business support function, to now a business leader, which has seen. I think that's very well articulated. So with that, Jay, I would like to come to you, because you are in the most interesting side of the business, the media, which is rapidly transitioning the network. Would love to hear from you. And you also been on the other side and the Oracle. You've seen both the sides. So I think would be interesting to know your perspective.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. So, Sachin, yeah, the journey basically started the same way, where you started from a dial-up modem to today, and then later on, literally begging for a LAN cable. And then today, wherein you ask someone ki bhai kisi ko LAN cable chahiye, do someone want a LAN cables? That's a journey has been overall till now. And yeah, it's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of good moments during this time. Like if someone used to get from a desktop to a laptop, that was some kind of supposed to be a very peak. And being in the IT infra at that point of time, if someone got a Wi-Fi connection, I'm talking about years back, it was like after some time someone will come and ask you, iska promotion ho gaya kya karke? So that's how it used to be. So those are the days when it is. And today it's given that okay, you don't need a LAN cable and those, but that's one part. But in this industry, obviously the media industry also seen a very big change going forward, wherein obviously no buffering, delivery is a very, and the user experience is a very, very key. That's one part. And we have seen days wherein you have to be dependent either on the last mile connectivity was very, very challenging earlier. You have to be very dependent. You have to dependent on redundancy, or maybe a secondary was maybe some cable operator, and you have to just pray that he doesn't go and into last moment, something like that. But and then what I've seen is also two areas. One is the connectivity or the wireless connectivity when it came to the infra part of it, in the sense the office network and those part of it. And so like when the Aruba came up with their access point, the very first thing was you make sure the access point is all the leadership team cabins are there, put it across. That's one part. And then the second part is obviously the applications. Now application has taken a sea change, and especially with last 18 months, the digital transformation has really, really peaked. And in this industry, obviously it has peaked. There was a lot of apprehension because traditionally this industry has been in a more of a very kind of a in confined data center and those kind of stuff. So when this came up, obviously there was a lot of apprehension, a lot of challenges were there, which eventually were mitigated. Still there are some, those are there. But the way I have seen is one of the areas network is sometimes taken as granted. So where there's a lot of applications there, you do a lot of sizing on the hardware, you do a lot of sizing on the licenses, the user experience, you do a lot of sizing on the performance testing. But when it comes to network, it's like, that's given for granted, it will be taken care of. So that sometimes I have seen that. So I guess we need to get into, maybe the OEMs can push us to how to come with a sizing methodology when it comes to big ticket applications or big ticket transformation rollout, where that's very, very critical. That's I've seen. And other area which I've seen is what has been experienced earlier and to now is we are talking about hybrid cloud. We are talking about multiple applications, mix of SaaS-based application, on-premise applications, and those kind of. The integration between all these upstream and the downstream systems is very much impacted by how your overall network architecture is. And that's where I feel that's a very, it's more upcoming, and there's going to be a lot of sea change into this area. That's what is my feeling on that.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for narrating that story. Now, taking that thread of conversation forward, I just want to hear from leaders like you. We passed through the 1.5 years, so a very different time. Okay, now the hybrid work culture is settling in. Is that putting a bit of a stress on, the network, and is it affecting the application performance? So how are you dealing with it? If I were to take that point of view, maybe I'll start with Vinodji.
Yeah, so I think the $1 million question absolutely is that. I mean, I think there's no secret that the pattern of demand and the pattern of consumption have changed substantially. Because previously, because you were given that this was coming from your office, the bulk of your transactional load was obviously at a different point. Now, being in the telecom infra space, I also see the changes that are happening in terms of fiber to the home and in increased bandwidth availability. I think somebody referenced the satellite players who are coming in as well. And pretty much what I see is that, look, when you're dealing with situations at home, it is not just about work. For instance, at any point in time, I have 7 or 8 different devices connected to my home network. My wife is working, my son is playing a game, my mother's watching a movie on streaming TV. Here, applications are mushroomed over a particular network, in the sense that our ability to control what is going out and what is going in has become significantly more limited. And that is putting a huge challenge in terms of guaranteeing performance. So typically, for instance, the first line of defense, and I mean it in a somewhat lighter note, so please don't take it literally. But one of the notes of defense when somebody is not able to do their work is, sir, I wasn't able to because my network at home is slow, which is suddenly an out. ये out तो कभी था नहीं ऑफिस में. Because our challenge has now shifted as an enterprise in this, given continuing hybrid performance, to understand what is a floor, what is a good quality of network, what is performance, and more importantly, how do I know? So for instance, if I'm looking at my productivity of my users across, and one of the common metrics we use in a call is, if one person can't hear you, it's his problem. If 5 people can't hear you, it's probably your problem, right? I mean, this is the empirical judgment we all make on a snap basis to say, sorry sir, आपका तो network लगता है कोई problem है. These are, I think, where our biggest challenges is how do we institutionalize these? How do we validate these? How do we make sure what is fit for work now is changing? And I think, we are certainly ourselves looking at a lot of key roles and saying, what do we need to ensure by way of equipment? For instance, this previously a personal video conferencing device was unthinkable. Now you look, there's not a single OEM that does not have a Teams compatible or a, network applications compatible digital phone with a 4-inch or 5-inch screen. I mean, there is from 4 inches all the way through to about 28 inches, you can get your poison of choice when it comes to, video and telecommunication and so on. I think we've done some work in trying to define what constitutes a satisfactory working experience for a key user. And, that has required in some places some investment, in some places that has required some level of prioritization at the back end, or changes in our backend to monitor what is going on. And I think, that will only continue. And I think we plumbed the depths of applications that are actually helping in performance monitoring now at a user level. I think more work has happened in that space as well, as Atul said, in the last 18 months than had happened in perhaps the 10 years before that. And I expect that many of these things will bear fruit over the next, few months or a year. And then we should see those V2.0s, V3.0s of some of these. It's very interesting. Even the video conferencing tools themselves have evolved to a point where, the noise reduction, the background blurring, all of these things. I mean, I don't believe anybody spent 15 minutes on these features pre-pandemic. So I think, that's just a sign of things to come. My own view is that we need to have a very solid understanding of what constitutes satisfactory performance and ensure we're able to maintain that. We're working very hard toward that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vinodji. With that, I would like to again also hear from Jay, because that's, I think, the Sony, which has has being on OTT side again has a lot of the application performances. I want to understand, Jay, how have you guys have dealt with the stress of this whole hybrid work culture? Many of your people still may not be coming to office, but they are managing very critical stuff, and I'm sure that must be putting a lot of load on the network there to make sure that things are there. And now being on OTT side also, how are you managing the network there?
Yeah, so obviously when this came up, not a good time pandemic, but when it came up, the very first question was, chalo, burst the network first. So the very first ask was to make sure that there's a burst the network first. There are some CDN content delivery networks and those things are there, which was very critical. So those were kind of there. Second criticality was obviously users not very accustomed to working from home. So though we had Office 365 and some of the critical applications, the latency cannot be more than milliseconds. I mean, it has to be very less for latency. So those were a challenge initially to cope up with those. Yeah, we got it. Then other challenge was not on the application part of it was okay. At least you can do it. But then the graphics and the teams, which is even your resources and all these, your edit suits, everything is in the in-house in the in location itself. Managing those was a big challenge because it needs a high-end computing. It needs a high-end network connectivity with a proper redundancy. So there was a hybrid of work from home and obviously in office, but there are various tools, and I cannot name those vendors and the tools here, but which we try to implement, and obviously it was fast track. So that was the one area which eventually got over it, because we saw the peak happening in the first 3 months, 4 months. The peak was really high, wherein the number of people watching and all those things very high. So once it gone into the peak, then obviously it was easy to stabilize, but it was not a very easy job. It was a very challenging job. That's the first part which happened on that. Then eventually we have gone into a major transformation journey, because this led to a lot of experience change, a lot of consumer behavior change and those. And as everyone said, what was supposed to start as a transformation in 2023 is now is expected to get over by 2022. That's what is has been accelerated now. And if you see the Surya's slide, he mentioned about the first step 1 to 5, and also he mentioned about how digital transformation, one of the aspect is out of 3 is a network. So I guess we are more or less try to get into the second step, wherein because of that, we cannot afford to have a broadband kind of a backup or a secondary transporter to do that. So that was the challenge. But I guess very soon we should have with SLAs, what how we mentioned that SLAs, there will be SLAs defined by all these networks also. I guess the low hanging applications will be able to move to those.
Thanks, Jay. I think sharing these real life challenges. With that, I mean, since you did talk about application, I want to take the thoughts on this hybrid work culture, how it's also affecting the security aspect of it. I'll not get into because it's not a security conversation, but still, you at the helm of the function, you have to make sure the network refresh or network deployment, whatever you're doing, has to be also equally secure. So with that, Maitriji, would you like to comment how you did manage this new stress of hybrid work culture and with the security?
Sure. Thanks. So yeah, talking about the pre-pandemic era, remote support and remote working was like once in a while, and the traditional VPN is what was there to support and manage the show. And come 20th of March 2020, and things changed. Everyone was back locked in their homes, and that was a time when the need for the more efficient, more effective, and more I would say higher bandwidth on VPNs was faced. And I think most of the people here would agree that the ERPs and the file shares and the applications which are all back in the data centers were all kind of facing the challenges in terms of the remote access, and people were complaining we cannot use it, it's not working. You had to have certain emergency changes to be done on the network side to ensure that things which were earlier not required over the VPN are now required to be working and functional, and has to be efficient, not just functional. And then comes the challenge where we have the product design and development teams who are working on high-end technical workstations and very large CAD files, which are accessed from centralized servers and high-performance computing, and they are stuck. They cannot work. So that's where you actually see that this VPN thing should not be there. But then you need to think about, what do you do? How do you ensure that you provide a secure access to your employee? And then people started to be very innovative, very imaginative about what all solutions could be implemented, and lots of remote desktop tools, lots of zero authentication, or not zero authentication, zero trust based security. The need for those technologies was felt, and was at the highest level. I mean, it was at the peak that industries were looking out for such solutions to get them implemented as soon as possible. And I think that time the highest load was also on the telcos, because till now people were happy with 100 Mbps of internet or 100 Mbps of connectivity at their office area. But then as soon as started to work from home, the home internet requests or the number of the amount of bandwidth that is required at the homes grew exorbitantly high. And also with that, the consistency of the internet connection and the availability of that. We are a multinational company and we have people all across the globe. And it was not just India. So when we talk about people say India is very behind in terms of technology, but I saw people from Europe, people from US struggling to work, and they were also facing the same challenges that we were facing here. So I think the IT environment is not very different in other parts of the world. It's more or less the same that we see here. What is more important is that how quickly and how easily are you able to adopt and implement those new changes in the network, in the environment is a very, very important aspect. And that's where the current trend is going, and that's what we also need to look at and implement in our setup. Yeah. Thank you.
You pointed some very important elements, Sumitji. And I think as you're giving the compare story of India with the Europe and the US, I think we were still applauded for our education system to turn in few weeks completely digital. And that I think simply because, and I think thanks to telcos, people like Indus Towers helping, have that network. And I think we could really manage that. So I want to therefore ask now Atulji and Rajivji. Atulji, maybe specifically you, if you can tell us, therefore, do you think SD-WAN is the better approach to this entire thing now, the world currently we're living in, the hybrid work culture? You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, sorry, thanks. I think very interesting points which have come up. Thanks, Vinod, Jay, and Rajiv for sharing your thoughts. I'm sorry I missed out Maitriji here. Yeah. So on this question on this SD-WAN, I'll tell you what. If you were to go back in time, maybe 8 to 10 years back, okay, terms like server virtualization were like considered very, it was like futuristic to an extent that 10, 15 years back, like who would do server virtualization? We are happy hosting a server in a physical setup. And now if you see, if you were to take that similar aspect in networks, if we were to take a box by box approach and keep adding capacities box by box, and you would need infinite team members to manage it. Managing it and basically troubleshooting all of that would be a nightmare. So given that, I sincerely believe and feel that software defined networking and more so SD-WANs more for the bandwidth optimization, because you can't just rely on one or the other provider. You also have to look at multiple options. You need to have need to have MPLS, you need to have point-to-point links, you need to have ILLs, and you need to make sure that with all of this, you are able to you don't run your systems on active or passive. You should be able to concurrently use all of them while maintaining that due degree of redundancies as well. So you have redundancies as well as the capacity unlocked, because which was not the case earlier. You would actually configure that if one MPLS fails, the other one takes over. But with kind of SD-WANs deployment, which we did almost 3-4 years back, what we've seen is these issues around a failure, some fiber getting cut. We actually were managing everything. Somebody's fiber getting cut somewhere in some part of the city. We had to be cautious about that. So we were like doing micromanagement about so many aspects which we were not supposed to, and so our bandwidth was going all over the place because these were so critical, such important links. If they were to fail, especially for your hosted applications like SAP and all. No, you just can't transact. Your trucks, your whole supply chain comes to a complete standstill. So, and especially for remote sites, it was a nightmare. But with SD-WANs, no, I think it's over the last 2-3 years, I've not got calls. I've stopped getting calls on this. So that way, my bandwidth, my own bandwidth, is actually now focused on more strategic and more important aspects rather than getting worried about how do I make sure that I call up that provider, escalate it, and get that fiber patched and jointer, identifying where is the jointer and all that. No, getting into those very, very menial but critical, business critical, because otherwise your trucks are stuck, your whole invoicing is stuck. So having said that, I can tell you the whole premise of management, as the bandwidth demands and all that goes high, and these have scaled, the requirements have scaled at least 4 or 5 times within each such enterprise. And if you were to do a box by box or a hardware based scale out approach, it would eat away your whole data center space, and also you would have infinite team members would be required to support it. So given that these new age technologies which have evolved now become more mature, I think they are here to stay, and eventually software defined networking will become as pervasive and as prevalent as virtualization. People don't even talk about server virtualizations now, because it's a given that you have it, you would have virtualized. So likewise, we would have these SDNs and the SD-WANs of the world flourishing. Yeah.
No, you really articulate well, because I think my question was, is the SD-WAN option, but rather you actually emphasize on the fact how to exploit out of SD-WAN and make CIOs and IT function more productive by exploiting as much as possible. So with that, let me, one more last question which I have to Raju Mittalji, is that, because this is something also came from some of the attendees, and I would want to ask that specifically, and we'll go to Surya also to answer that later. But so is SD-WAN sort of effective, cost effective from a user standpoint?
See, the cost is a very subjective term. So cost is always linked with what is the enablement required in the organization, in the business, what is the requirement of the business, because the requirement is ever changing. Business growth is very high in most of the cases, and digitalization adoption is again going very high. So demand is continuously increasing. So it is like that to run a business. What are the necessary things? The office has to be required, the factory has to be required, the network system has to be required, has to be there. So similarly, I would say the network is also like that. So cost point of view, this is more of an enablement, ease of operation, okay, time to response and time to reduction of time to do business with agility and maintaining the growth and changes and changing environment scenarios. So like in my case, of course, SD-WAN is a technology which is combining various things, but many of these aspects we have adopted because our organization is spread in multi cities and in different continents as well. So we are largely working on WAN connectivity. So we have adopted desktop virtualization very early, and where the optimization is required. So the WAN optimization, application packet shaping, okay, all these things were in place. But of course, doing that, it requires multiple technology, multiple brands, multiple configuration, multiple equipments, and the complexity around it. So I would say from the cost involvement perspective, if I consider apple to apple, what was the cost involved in that and what is the cost now in terms of a composite service called SD-WAN, which is comprising everything. So probably it won't be a high cost. Probably it will be same. Probably somewhere we may be reducing the cost. And the cost cannot be just seen from the equipment and technology investment point of view, but also to be seen from the entire aspect, from the management, administrative aspect. The time which lost to support business from that aspect. So tangible and intangible terms, if we calculate everything, so probably it will be at par.
That was a very interesting point you made, and I think I'm sure our listeners will find it interesting if they were to justify their board why, when they do the next network refresh, why SD-WAN is relevant, and some of the pointers Atulji and the other panelists did talk about how to exploit more, juice it more out of the SD-WAN. I think it will be an easy. It's just not you doing then the SD-WAN deployment because you have heard some good things about, but how it eases role of CIO and IT function to do more strategic stuff and more productive stuff. So with that, Surya would like to, you patiently heard the stories of our panelists, and I want to now invite you to do the final summary of our conversation. And can you also do talk about, have you heard of some of these challenges in your conversation otherwise with a lot of enterprise CIOs you meet? And I would recommend you to do the summary.
Hey, thanks. See, first of all, let me thank eminent panelists for their great insight. No doubt, this is a topic which will have different views and different use cases. And I always believe seeing is believing. Whatever you talked about, we have solution today. And it's very wrong to say that any OEM sits on the other side says I have a solution. So that's the reason rather let me be challenged by myself, saying that I rather show it to you than just by word of speak. Now, Vinodji spoke about slowness. That's the universal, question. Slowness, you remember the days, we were born in the world of Wi-Fi. And if anybody doesn't get Wi-Fi connectivity, they used to come and say, "Kya yaar, tumhara Aruba Wi-Fi kabhi chalta hi nahi hai." I used to wonder how can Aruba Wi-Fi doesn't work. And they never used to say that it was an issue with a PoE switch not powering that AP, or they never used to say that one of the service provider had not given a bandwidth. But Wi-Fi is always getting blamed. Okay, so just to straight away answer to some of the points which I felt very interesting was. The slowness happened not just in WAN. Slowness happened in wired and wireless. Was step by step. Most of them spoke about it. Step by step, it was resolved. WAN today, Vinodji, to straight away answer to your question. Today we do per packet based load balancing. Okay, so we added to our Silver Peak portfolio our integration with ClearPass Policy Manager, which can give the context based to that. So that means that if Mr. Vinod is doing Zoom voice call on the WAN, I know what to prioritize. I know Vinod needs to be prioritized, Zoom voice to be prioritized, and that is the level of understanding Vivo. So ideally, I give example of an ambulance going in a highway. Okay, so I don't prioritize ambulance. I prioritize the packet inside the ambulance. Typically, every OEM does prioritization on ambulance. But I go into that in ambulance is Sachin sitting, Surya sitting, or a patient sitting. Okay, that is the level depth of where we go. Okay, ideally, we all also spoke about two critical aspects. One is underlay, which predominantly you either do MPLS or LTE or internet. Internet can be a PPPoE port or a broadband Ethernet drop or many other aspects. Criticalness is overlay. Okay, so I became nostalgic when some of you shared your experiences with IT, from mainframes to the old age systems, right? I always used to be fascinated with computers because I always believed Sachin developed computer to create a Surya, and that's how we started with some one room computer to today a computer held in a handheld, right? That's the evolution of machines to closer to a human being. Okay, so you remember the days of RAID 1, RAID 5 conversation on a hard disk. Okay, we used to remember the discussion on parity. Okay, so WAN is moving towards that. The WAN packet transfer between two areas is using the same kind of parity so that you don't get loss in the packets. Okay, so the reason is today when the moment packet leaves to the WAN, you don't know which path to take. Either you co-define it. See, if you remember the days of routing, we used to do session-based routing. Okay, so gone are those days. I don't want session based or this thing. It should be automated. That is where the AI ML has to come. So this is where we saw criticalness of DCDR. I still remember those days where banks used to wait till midnight, 12 o'clock. You know, for what? Critical backup activity. Okay, so I still I'm seeing some of the customers doing it, but with adapting into new age technology, believe me, I have seen in a POC showing storage replication 10 times faster. Okay, so I'm seeing database replication 10 times faster. Okay, basically the most important thing, Windows upgrade and updates. I've seen personally taking 6.5, 6.5 hours, which is getting downloaded to few minutes. We were able to do in 3 minutes. The basic concept of we doing it is, one is we do byte level data. That is number one. Second thing is, if you remember those days of repetitive data improvements, in our compute system, we used to remember something called as cache, RAM, and hard disk. The three variation, same thing will get replicated into networking. When I say repetitive data improvements, meaning, let's say if you have encrypted data or PAX data, I think Maitri talked about CAT files. Okay. Now what happens is, when I do the first time, probably I may take 1 minute or 2 minutes. The next time, since it's a repetitive data, I will assure you that on the WAN, I'll be able to bring you improvements. So that's the level depth of technology know-how we can go up to. So we go into aspect of Silver Peak was born from the world of WAN optimization itself. See, the WAN is nothing but culmination of 3 critical aspects: router, firewall, and optimization. What Silver Peak did was, they were born in the WAN optimization world. So we replaced a firewall and a router and a WAN optimization, giving it in a one single box. Okay. Now we coined a terminology called as bandwidth on demand. Okay, so forget about you talking about statically defining bandwidth. Now I'm going into a next level, saying that bandwidth on demand is Zoom requires this bandwidth. See, if you see the overlay networks, you will have real-time overlays, you will have enterprise app overlay, and third is default overlay. More probably a YouTube or a Netflix will be your default overlay. Real-time overlay is your, I need a real-time connectivity here when I do a Zoom or a WebEx or anything. Just imagine a board meeting. You cannot say that I can give you a 1 minute latency. You cannot do that. Okay. So similarly, some of you explained about SAP ERP applications. That is where your enterprise app overlay comes into picture. So the WAN network or your network should understand these overlays. So this is where the prioritization comes. So to assure you, that most of the queries will be resolved. Today, technology is ready for it. Lastly, when it comes to cost, which was the last question which Sachin brought in, cost from a definition of what outcome is critical. If I am able to replace your router, firewall, and WAN optimization with one single box and give you 10x improvement in your storage application, or your database replication, or user experience, this is where the indirect cost will cover up. So with this, I would like to assure you that today technology is evolved, going into a level where we are ready for the next generation challenges. And more importantly, we will be one step ahead of what the industry is. So the reason is, I'm not going to come to you talk about what current present chances. We'll talk about a step ahead, with taking you to that level of a step ahead in the industry curve. Over to you, Sachin. Thanks.
Thank you, Surya. And I'm sure, I think our audience would have loved the 5 stories of 5 leaders from 5 different domains. And they'll be able to relate in true sense how to unlock the benefit with the modern network and SD-WAN kind of technology. So with that, I would like to thank each one of you for your valuable time over a Saturday evening, and for pertinent technological issues facing organizations today, which is the network. And in the current scenario, with more enterprises applications having shifted to the cloud, there is a need to design the network for cloud. Enterprises also need security, control, and visibility into their networks. And in the new business environment, therefore, intelligent SD-WAN makes absolute sense. With this issue, we come to an end of this session. I thank all the participants and all our viewers for watching us. for being with us today, and hope the takeaways from this discussion will help you understand your network needs better. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sachin. Thanks,
Thanks all.